Good evening, everyone. Thanks for waiting. I think it's fair to say we witnessed one of the greatest fights in British boxing history tonight. Both men just showed the most incredible heart, desire. But the man to my right, for me, I've just witnessed one of the great performances from a British fighter. 147-pound fighter, whether you like it or not, moved up and just never stopped trying to win the fight. I thought the fight could have gone either way. I know a lot of people thought he won, Eubank won, whatever. But I want to talk about the performance, the heart, the mentality, and the never say die spirit from Conor Benn tonight, because I can't believe what I witnessed. There's going to the well and there's going to the well and just never, ever giving in, but never stop trying to win the fight. Not trying to survive, trying to win the fight. And obviously, there's a lot of people in this room. We know what he's been through. You know, opinions are opinions. And for me, tonight, Conor Benn become the people's champion, because this kid is a great kid. And he's always been a great kid. But tonight, he showed you it in the flesh. 14 months out of the ring. Never experienced that kind of occasion before. 65,000 people. And he stood in the ring and he had it. He took the kitchen sink off Eubank and he kept on trying to win the fight. So I just want to say, before I pass over to him, how proud I am of you, Conor. I think that was an amazing performance. You should be very proud of yourself. I know how devastated you are. But honestly, that was just unbelievable to watch. And thank you for giving us that tonight. Thank you very much. We have, obviously, Nigel Benn up here, Rick Reno from the Ring Magazine, Tony Sims, a trainer. We're going to open it to the floor for questions. Dan Barnard has the microphone. Please just raise your hand and he'll find you. Thank you.
Conor, commiserations on the fight, but I mean, I think a lot of people agree in here, probably your best performance against your hardest caliber opponent. I mean, just talk me through your opinion of the fight tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to swallow, man. It's a hard one to swallow. I mean, obviously, I didn't come into the fight thinking it would be that close. I didn't come into the fight to lose. I didn't come in the fight for anything apart from winning. And obviously, it weren't good enough. So I need to do better.
Ring Rats Boxing Highs. Felicidades, hermano.
Muchas gracias, amigo.
Conor, you couldn't have given any more in there tonight. It was clear you left everything out there. How did you feel when you heard the final bell? And what was it like being so close to your nemesis?
I mean, I didn't think I lost the fight. I mean, I can't really say. I don't want to be delusional and say, yeah, I think I won the fight or think I lost the fight. I think it was a close fight. And that's it. I could have done better. 14 months out of the ring, maybe played a factor in the fight. But I just want to say what an amazing turnout. Really did feel like my homecoming. And it's a blessing to be fighting back on British soil.
Is there a high level of respect between you and Junior now?
I mean, I wish him well. I know he's gone to the hospital. I've heard he's got a broken jaw. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I also want to thank Senior for turning up, because this really is a family affair, and it wouldn't have been what it was without Senior there.
Conor, commiserations about the result, but well done for being part of such an incredible fight. When the final bell went, and then you heard the results and the scorecards, did you agree with them, or did you think it was a closer fight than what they indicated?
I mean, I couldn't really hear, to be honest. All I heard was it was unanimous, and now that threw me off. But then I've heard Sky had me going into the 11th round a point up. So, I mean, it's a hard one because I felt like it could have been close, felt like it could have been a draw, felt like it could have gone my way, his way. I can't really say. All I know is I gave everything I had in there tonight. And as I said, it wasn't enough. So I need to do better.
Con, just want to say, and I'm probably not the only one who thinks this, thank you for giving us one of the most magical nights of boxing. Thank you to the Eubanks. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Ring Magazine, because that was a moment I felt tearful because I thought in years to come, I'm going to get to say I was there. And that was something that you did, that everybody up there did, and that the Eubanks did. So I think you need to really hold that in your heart that you just made history tonight. Also, I think you should be less hard on yourself for the performance you gave with everything that you've carried into this, for how long it's taken, the weight that it's been sitting on your shoulders. You've done amazing. My question, I just needed to say that because I think you're amazing.
I really appreciate that.
I really do. But my question is, what can you take away from the fight that you're proud of?
What am I proud of? It's hard because I'm a winner. And tonight I wasn't. So I don't take anything away from that. Yeah, I believe in a sport like this, you always have to be your harshest critic. You always have to look in the mirror and go, what could I have done better? How can I improve? Not what I've done well, because it weren't good enough. You know, so as much as people may say, oh, you done well, you know, well done, you gave us a great fight. And I'm happy I could give you guys that, but the outcome isn't the outcome that I prepared for. You know, no excuses, whether it's 14 months out of the ring, whether it's, you know, the 160, whatever it is. I came in there tonight thinking I'd win 100%, and I thought I'd got it done early doors. So, yeah, I need to look back, sit down with my trainer, my team, reevaluate and see what went wrong.
Just go easy on yourself, okay?
I'll try to.
Conor, congratulations. Even though you lost, it was a great fight. I think you've gained a lot of supporters, even though the result, and you really dug in. The fathers did it twice. Is that something now you want to go get back?
I believe, yeah, I want the revenge, man. I want my revenge. I think inactivity played a big part. It's quite hard because obviously the past 2.5 years, what had gone on, not fighting back here to then coming home to this, it was, it took me back. It did take me back. In a good way and in a bad way. When I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And then in the same breath, it's just a lot of new first times for me today. First stadium fight, first time fighting back here in three years. First fight at 160. You know, I had Eubank hurt multiple times, 3-4 times in there, noticeably. Just couldn't get a finish. You know, so I'll make sure for next time that finish is there.
Question for Nigel, sorry, down here.
Yeah.
Eddie touched on it, Connor's just spoke about it, what has gone on in the past 2.5 years and what you all have been through. As a father, to see Conor sell out Tottenham Stadium and a fight like that, how did you feel tonight?
I felt good. You know, when I take my hat off to Chris, he performed well. You know, that's what it was about. And to me, you know, I don't think Conor performed to his best of his ability. Was winging a lot of the shots. I'm not knocking my son because I love my son. I've always got his back. But, you know, we all have defeats, and he'll come back from this. And I'm glad that he's like, you know, he's lost that lost the fight. Now he can go back to the drawing board and know where he went wrong. Take his time, and he'll come back. Because I know he's got a heart to be a winner. And that's all he wants to do. And you know, to be at the ring for 14 months, and in fact, well, I was actually really impressed with Chris Eubank Jr. He done really well. He stood his ground. He done 12 hard rounds. But you know, Conor come back. He'll be a better fighter. You know, we've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his time. First time at 160. Yeah, I think he done really well. So I'm proud of him, mate. Win, lose or draw, I'm proud of my son. Just that we thought we were going to even the score, but, you know, he'll go back and try again, just like I did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Jarrett Bryan, Channel 4 News. Conor, I was fortunate enough to spend a couple of days with you, your family and your team in preparation for this fight, and saw firsthand the work and the effort and commitment you put in to preparing for this fight. Knowing all of that and what you did put into preparing for this, how much does it hurt and how does it feel to have not got the result that I know you've worked so hard to? And if I can, as a follow-up, Nigel, as a dad, what the next couple of days do you say to Conor now to just get him through, keep his head up and keep his spirits high?
I mean,
You go first, bud.
yeah, I mean, it's hurt me. It hurts, of course. No one likes to lose. Close fight, not close fight. You know, you gotta be harsh on yourself. You know, and I look at myself and go, this ain't good enough for me. You know, winning the heart of the public or entertaining the public is. I want to win, man. I don't work hard to lose. You know, I give everything I have, everything. I made sacrifices that were so hard to make. You know, but I just need to do better.
Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype. My question's for Eddie Hearn. Eddie, I've covered a lot of your fights. You've always been supportive of your fighters, but can you talk about the emotional impact this seems to be having on you and why this fight seems to, affect you a little bit more than normal?
Oh, I'm crazy for it all, but, we've been through a lot with Conor. I wanted to win just as much as Conor and Tony and Nigel and, we're a team. But I think that for me, when the final bell went, everyone was looking around. My dad was over there. We've got it. Frank Warren was sitting next to me, maybe a little bit biased as well. You've won it. And I thought, it's just the last two rounds. I thought it's going to go either way. But I was kind of like, when I heard the scorecards, I couldn't even be bothered to moan because I was just so proud of him. And it wasn't that I didn't think he could win, but I didn't think he could do that. I didn't think he could stand and trade an exchange with a middleweight over 12 rounds and still just fire back. I mean, when you're reading social media and you're reading a response to Conor Benn, and the thing that chokes me up is the change. Because when you know Conor Benn, you will always back him 1,000,000% for everything he's been through because he's got a very clean heart. And he's a good young man. So when I see him get the criticism, it kind of gives me the hump because I know he gives it 110% every day of the week. So to see the response, and I know the British public, and I know what's about to happen, in defeat even, this kid's become a superstar tonight. A superstar across the Atlantic. And, I have to say as well, we got to think about what we're going to do next. Because he showed tonight he's a world-class fighter. And he can win world titles at 147 and 154. And as he said, he didn't fight for money tonight. He made a lot of money. And we know, we've got a rematch up at 160. But this kid has an unbelievable future in the sport. He could be a superstar of the sport in this country. He could be filling arenas, filling stadiums. And it's not just about throwing him straight back into a war, trying to avenge a defeat in a weight class that he probably shouldn't be in. I think he can win the rematch. And I think it's the biggest fight in Britain, one of the biggest in the world. But we got to think carefully what we do because he's been through an unbelievable amount. And again, what I'm so proud of is how he absorbed the occasion tonight.
Eddie, you kind of just answered it a little bit, but Conor's alluded to wanting the rematch. But if you had to pick an option right now, would you like him to take the rematch or fight at a natural weight for it?
I would like to see him return to 147 pounds and fight for a world title there. I mean, look, we have Boots there. Obviously, he's looking to unify and become undisputed and move up. The belts are going to become available. I just know that Conor Benn can sell out any arena in the UK now, fighting at 147 pounds. But the public, His Excellency, everybody's going to want, you heard His Excellency in the ring. I think he booked the date here for September. That's right. Yeah. So look, we'll sit there. It's very early days, but I that took my breath away tonight. I like I said, I posted, I'm not even going to moan about the scorecards, because for me, this kid won tonight in many, many ways. And if it wasn't the result, it was just he won in life. And everything that he went through, he just absorbed it, come through the other side. And he's someone that people should look up to and understand that no matter what you're going through, you're going to come out the other side. And he did that tonight. We're very proud of him.
Radio Raheem down in front. Thank you, first of all, Conor, for an incredible effort. It was an entertaining night of boxing. The way that you lost the fight isn't the way that I heard anybody predict it. And the fact that you were able to take his punches, as you said, you hurt him a few times. He's on his way to the hospital, apparently with a broken jaw. So all of the things that people were saying you couldn't do, you did. What do you think was the margin that actually was difficult for you, or maybe swayed it the other way?
I don't think people put enough credit on the boxing ability, for me. Doing 10 rounds, doing 12 rounds, I'm well conditioned, and I can box. I haven't always got to knock out my opponents. Well, evidently I have, but I can do 12 rounds, in a weight class. There's 2 weight classes above my weight. The difference in it today, I believe, was just inactivity. There was a lot of emotions going on for me. It's a lot to take in after the past 2.5 years, and I wondered how much it had taken away from me. And I'm glad to see that it's not taking anything away from me at all. Proving I can take punches at 160. You don't always want to test that. And my goal is to not test that, but also I can dish it out at 160 and comfortably hurt my opponent, Eubank, multiple rounds, and having him on shaky legs. I just couldn't get a finish, which I put down to ring rust. I couldn't pull the trigger and get him out of there.
As a fighter, you're obviously going to want revenge, as you said. You feel you can win the next fight. However, at this weight, with the kind of damage that you'll have to take well above your weight class, would it be wiser? Would you consider just fighting at your weight and chasing a championship? As Eddie said, you are a star tonight. I haven't heard anybody criticize you. Some people think it was even a draw. So could this be enough and you just go back to your class and pursue for a championship?
Do you know what's hard? Is it was so close. Well, so people are telling me. I felt like it was close. That's what's hard. Is it was so close and I just didn't get the nod. That's what's painful. Not as painful as Chris missing weight by 0.05, but it was painful. And it was just, if it was as close as people were saying it is, that's what's painful. Because I weren't outclassed. I wasn't hurt in there. I just couldn't get the finish. I just couldn't pull the trigger and keep it moving. I'm known for having my opponent hurt and getting finished. So it's one of them things where it's like, do I avenge the loss? Do I drop back down to 147 and win the WBC world title? If Barrios is watching, I'd love that. But I feel like this one's... It's frustrating because I feel like I just want to settle this.
And last one from me. Before the fight and after the fight, it seemed Senior made a point to come over to you and to Nigel and speak to you. What did he say? That's a question for you and Nigel.
I looked at Chris Senior and I said to him, grabbed him by the neck and I said, mate, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you turn up. Because outside of everything else, outside of all the noise and the promotion and the fight, your relationship with your dad never goes. That's always there. That's long-standing. That's without boxing. What's boxing? What is it? Because I'd pick the relationship with my dad over boxing any day of the week. So to see them if this has brought them together, God, that's worth its weight in gold.
That's right.
That's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, well, Chris was just like, sitting down talking to me, saying like, my boy's on top, Oh, here we go. But to me, really, it was just good having him there, seeing him there, like it was a family affair. We lost, but yeah, I ain't really, I didn't really speak to him much, but it was just like, praising my son. I accepted that, and that was about it, really. There weren't no deep conversations.
Thank you both for an incredible fight and an instant classic.
Thank you very much.
Eddie, you obviously mentioned the potential rematch with Chris Eubank. I was just wondering, obviously a lot was made of the rehydration clause prior to the fight. Do you think there'd be any discussions about potentially removing that for the rematch if it were to happen?
Yeah, I think maybe Junior should come down a little bit lower rather than Conor Benn coming up 2 weight classes. I was baffled. I mean, we knew Chris Eubank's weight all week, right? I knew it at the check weight. I knew it the day after. We knew what he woke up this morning, and he was absolutely spot on this morning, and he was fine. Yesterday, he was tight at the weight. He's always tight at the weight. He's made it the last 5 times. He messed up. He got there an hour late. He could have made it comfortably, but they just ballsed up. That's it. No one ever said, apart from his dad, do you think it's dangerous for Conor Benn to be moving up 2 divisions and fighting someone the size of Eubank? And I think, honestly, the contract, and you guys have got to remember as well, this contract was not a contract that was negotiated between Matchroom and Chris Eubank Jr. This was a contract that was negotiated by the Ring magazine and seller and Chris Eubank individually. And we negotiated our contract individually. Ben Shalom, Chris Eubank, Maz, whatever his name is, they accepted those terms, right? And that's the art of a contract. And the plan is to abide by those terms. So for me, the terms were spot on, as you saw tonight. You saw a very evenly matched fight where a big 160-pounder nearly made his championship weight. He rehydrated, okay. Conor weighed in at 165 pounds, I think, in the ring. Eubank was probably 176, 177. He probably had 10 or 11 pound on him. And he stood up to it. And I think we got it absolutely right. I think they served you up one of the greatest fights we've ever seen in this country. But for me, the danger was not for Chris Eubank Jr. The danger was for Conor Benn. And that's why we got to think very carefully about the rematch. Because I don't want to see him in too many fights like that. It's all very well us sitting there and going, wow, what a fight, let's do it again. They're the kind of fights that will shorten your career. And he's got such a long career ahead of him. So, the terms are already agreed for the rematch with to move forward. And it's the same as the first contract in that respect. So I think we got it spot on with the numbers.
Nigel, one for you. I know you didn't get the decision in your first fight with Senior, but in the second fight, I think many people on that stage over there believe you won. How much inspiration do you feel like you could give to Conor ahead of a rematch that you didn't necessarily get the decision in the first fight, but you can come back bigger, better and stronger?
I think Conor will. I think it's in his genes. He knows what he has to do, and he knew what he'd done wrong. Land on the ropes too much, and winging them in. What he done in training, he didn't actually do. But I'm not going to knock him for that. He'll go home and watch the fight and see where he went wrong, and then we'll just come back.
Did you say you're not going to knock me for that while you're knocking me?
Well, you gave it to me, mate. You said Dad couldn't do the business, so I'll have to come and do it.
Fair.
Right,
fair.
but it's good that we can laugh and joke about it, but we know what we do. We go back and we work hard again. We do everything right. And, do what we've done wrong, we're put right. And I'm looking forward to getting back in the gym with my son and starting the whole 12-week camp again. Just brush yourself down and then start again. So I'm looking forward to it. He'll learn from this. He won't make the same mistakes.
All right, guys, we're going to get kicked out. They turned the sound off us on the ring as well. So we're going to be kicked out of the stadium soon. So one more question, if anyone's got it. If not, we'll wrap. Any further questions?
Right. You've got to speak louder than that, mate.
of needle between you and the fight, building up. You go 12 rounds with somebody like that, you get half, and you've got to respect for each other.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Yeah. I mean, listen, he still ain't my cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? I won't go and sit down and have a chat with him. But of course there is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Come on, answer the question.
I mean, like, there's respect. Obviously, we've gone 12 rounds together, but he's Chris, isn't he?
Like his dad.
So I like him as much as I possibly can.
Cheers, Conor.
Given the situation, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, round of applause for Conor Benn.
God bless you. Thank you.
Loved your performance. Top man.
You should